If you're over 60 and you've noticed that your eyesight isn't quite what it used to be, or you walk into a room and completely forget why you went there, I need you to watch this entire video because what I'm about to share with you has nothing to do with expensive eye drops, prescription pills, or memory supplements that cost a fortune and deliver almost nothing. It has everything to do with what you drink before you go to bed. Here's something that most doctors never tell their patients. Your brain and your eyes do the majority of their repair work while you're asleep. Not while you're exercising, not while you're eating a salad at lunch, while you sleep. Between the hours of roughly 10 p.m. and 3 a.m., your brain activates something called the glymphatic system. Essentially a built-in cleaning crew that flushes out toxic waste, repairs damaged neurons, and restores connections that control memory, focus, and even visual processing. Your eyes go through their own overnight repair cycle too. The cells in your retina, the tiny light-sensitive cells called photoreceptors, regenerate protective pigments, repair oxidative damage, and restore the delicate blood vessels that keep your vision sharp. But here's the problem. That repair cycle only works properly when your body has the right raw materials to work with. And for most seniors eating a standard modern diet, those materials are almost completely missing. What if you could deliver exactly the right compounds directly to your brain and your eyes right before you go to sleep so that your body could actually finish the repair job it's been trying to do for years? That's exactly what these 5 juices do. And the science behind them is not folk medicine. It's not guesswork. It's peer-reviewed, published research that most people have simply never heard about. I'm Dr. William Lee. I've spent the last decade focused on one question. Why do some people stay mentally sharp and visually clear well into their 80s, while others begin to decline in their early 60s? The answer again and again comes back to inflammation, oxidative stress, and nutrient delivery to the brain and eyes. And certain juices taken at the right time of day address all 3 of those problems simultaneously. Let's get into it. Why vision and memory decline together, and why that's actually good news. Before I give you the 5 juices, you need to understand something important. Vision decline and memory decline are not 2 separate problems. They share the same root causes. Both your retina and your brain are made of neural tissue. Both are protected by similar blood-brain and blood-retina barriers. Both are devastated by the same 2 things, chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is what happens when your cells produce more free radicals than your body can neutralize. Think of it like rust forming on metal. Left unchecked, those free radicals damage the mitochondria inside your neurons, break down the myelin sheath that allows nerve signals to travel quickly, and destroy the photoreceptor cells in your retina that allow you to see fine detail and contrast. Chronic inflammation compounds the damage. It restricts blood flow to tiny capillaries in the eye and brain, starving these sensitive tissues of oxygen and nutrients. Here's why this is actually good news. If the same root causes are driving both problems, then the same solutions can address both simultaneously. You're not trying to fix 2 separate systems. You're working on one interconnected system with the same targeted approach. And the compounds that most powerfully fight inflammation and oxidative stress in neurotissue, anthocyanins, lutein, zeaxanthin, nitric oxide precursors, and specific polyphenols happen to be found in extraordinarily high concentrations in 5 specific juices. Juice 1, Tart cherry juice, the sleep amplifier that repairs while you rest. Let's start with what I consider the most important juice for seniors, especially when we're talking about overnight repair. Tart cherry juice, made from Montmorency cherries specifically, not sweet cherries, contains the highest natural concentration of melatonin found in any food. But that's actually not the main reason it makes this list. Melatonin itself gets a lot of attention. What people don't talk about nearly enough are the anthocyanins. Tart cherries contain over 150 different anthocyanin compounds. These are the pigments that give the cherries their deep red color, and in your body they function as some of the most powerful anti-inflammatory agents nature has ever produced. They cross the blood-brain barrier, which is remarkably difficult for most compounds to do, and they go to work directly inside your brain tissue. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who drank Tart cherry juice twice daily for 12 weeks showed significantly improved episodic memory scores compared to a placebo group. Episodic memory is the type of memory that lets you remember where you put your keys, what you had for breakfast, and what your grandchild told you last week. That's the memory most people notice slipping first. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for vision. The retina of your eye has one of the highest concentrations of mitochondria in the entire human body. It burns enormous amounts of energy and produces massive amounts of oxidative waste as a result. The anthocyanins in tart cherry juice have been shown in laboratory studies to specifically protect retinal cells from oxidative damage and to support the regeneration of rhodopsin, the visual pigment your eyes use for low-light vision. If you've noticed that driving at night has become harder or that your eyes take longer to adjust when you walk from a bright room into a darker one, rhodopsin degradation is likely a significant factor. The melatonin in tart cherry juice adds another layer of benefit. It doesn't just make you sleepy. Research shows that melatonin itself acts as a direct antioxidant in the eye, specifically protecting the macula, the central part of your retina responsible for reading, recognizing faces, and seeing fine detail from the kind of oxidative damage that leads to age-related macular degeneration. How to take it? 240 milliliters, roughly 1 cup of unsweetened tart cherry juice 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Do not add sugar. Look for 100% Monterey tart cherry juice, not a blend. If the tartness is too intense at first, dilute it slightly with water and reduce the dilution over 1 to 2 weeks as your palate adjusts. Juice 2 beet juice, opening the blood highways to your brain and eyes. Most people think of beets as something their grandmother made them eat. They're about to become your favorite thing in the refrigerator. Beet juice is the single most potent natural source of dietary nitrates available to the average person. And dietary nitrates do something remarkable in your body. When you consume them, bacteria in your mouth and your digestive system convert those nitrates into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas that causes your blood vessels to dilate, to open wider. Why does that matter for your brain and eyes? Because both of those organs are exquisitely sensitive to blood flow. Your brain consumes roughly 20% of your body's total blood supply. Despite being only 2% of your body weight, your eyes, particularly the macula and optic nerve, rely on a dense network of tiny capillaries that are among the first blood vessels to be compromised by aging, high blood pressure, and inflammation. When blood flow to the brain drops, cognitive function drops with it. Memory retrieval slows, processing speed decreases. The connections between neurons weaken because they're not getting adequate oxygen and glucose. When blood flow to the retina drops, you begin losing sharpness at the edges of your vision. Colors lose their richness. Reading becomes more effortful. Beet juice addresses both of those problems at their source. A landmark study from Wake Forest University found that older adults who drank beet juice before exercise showed dramatically increased blood flow to the white matter frontal lobes of the brain, the regions most commonly associated with dementia and cognitive decline. The increase in perfusion was measurable on MRI scans. These weren't small changes. These were significant visible differences in how much blood was actually reaching the brain. For vision, research published in the journal Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science demonstrated that nitric oxide plays a critical role in regulating intraocular pressure and maintaining the health of the optic nerve, the cable that connects your eye to your brain. Declining nitric oxide production is associated with both glaucoma progression and age-related loss of contrast sensitivity. There's one more thing beet juice does that almost nobody talks about. It feeds the liver. Your liver is responsible for filtering the blood that flows to your brain and eyes. A congested, sluggish liver means more inflammatory compounds circulating in that blood. Beet juice contains betaine, a compound that specifically supports liver detoxification pathways and reduces liver inflammation. How to take it? 200 milliliters of fresh cold-pressed beet juice or a mix of beet with a small amount of apple and ginger for palatability, taken in the early evening about 2 hours before bed. Do not boil beets to make juice. Heat destroys the nitrates. Always use raw cold-pressed beet juice. If your urine turns pink the next morning, that's completely normal and harmless. It's called buria, and it's simply the natural pigment passing through your system. Juice 3, carrot and ginger juice, the retina's favorite meal. This one might surprise you because carrots are so common that most people have completely stopped thinking of them as a health food. That's a mistake. The deep orange color of carrots comes from beta-carotene, which your body converts to retinol, a form of vitamin A, and vitamin A is not optional for your eyes. It is structurally essential. Without adequate vitamin A, the cells in your retina literally cannot manufacture enough rhodopsin to function properly. Night blindness is often one of the first signs of vitamin A insufficiency in older adults. Beyond rhodopsin production, vitamin A maintains the health of the conjunctival membranes, the moist lining of your eye, and protects the cornea from becoming dry and damaged. But here's why juice is dramatically more effective than simply eating carrots. Bioavailability. When you eat a raw carrot, you absorb somewhere between 3% and 8% of the beta-carotene it contains. When you juice carrots and add a small amount of fat, which I'll tell you exactly how to do, absorption of that same beta-carotene jumps to over 70%. You are getting roughly 10 times more of the key nutrient your retina needs from the same vegetable simply because of preparation. Now the ginger, this is where the memory piece comes in for this particular juice. Gingerolols and shogols, the active compounds in ginger, are among the most potent natural inhibitors of neuroinflammation available. A study published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine found that ginger extract significantly improved cognitive processing speed, working memory, and attention in middle-aged women. The mechanism involves suppression of inflammatory pathways in the hippocampus, the brain region that acts as your memory filing system and is the first area damaged in Alzheimer's disease. Ginger also dramatically improves circulation specifically to the extremities and to the fine capillary networks, which includes the tiny blood vessels in your macular and optic nerve. Combined, carrot and ginger juice delivers retinal nutrients and brain anti-inflammatory compounds in a single glass with a bioavailability you simply cannot achieve by eating either food in its whole form. How to take it? Juice 4 to 5 medium organic carrots with a 1-inch piece of fresh ginger. Add a /4 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil or a small cube of avocado to the finished juice and stir or blend briefly. The fat is non-negotiable. It's what drives the dramatic increase in beta-carotene absorption. Drink 240 milliliters with dinner or about 90 minutes before bed. Avoid adding citrus, which can interfere with beta-carotene conversion in some individuals. Juice 4, blueberry and pomegranate juice, the memory restorer. If you could design a juice specifically to rebuild a senior's memory while they sleep, it would look almost exactly like this combination. Blueberries are the most studied fruit in all of cognitive neuroscience. The reason is their extraordinarily high concentration of pterostilbene and anthocyanins, particularly a compound called delphinidin, which has a unique ability to cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate directly in the hippocampus. A study from the University of Cincinnati Academic Health Center gave older adults with mild cognitive impairment either wild blueberry powder or a placebo for 16 weeks. The blueberry group showed measurable improvements in memory performance and reduced symptoms of depression and blood glucose levels. Brain imaging showed increased activity in the regions of the brain responsible for memory encoding and retrieval. But what blueberries do while you sleep is the most impressive part. During deep sleep, your brain activates those lymphatic pathways I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the waste clearance system. The anthocyanins from blueberries have been shown to enhance lymphatic function, helping your brain flush out amyloid beta and tau proteins, the very proteins that accumulate to form the plaques and tangles associated with Alzheimer's disease. Drinking blueberry juice before bed essentially gives your brain's overnight cleaning crew more powerful equipment to do their job. Pomegranate adds an entirely different and complementary layer. Pomegranate juice is one of the richest dietary sources of punicians polyphenols that are converted in your gut into a compound called urolithin. Urolithin A has been shown in research to stimulate emphagy, the process by which your cells identify and remove damaged mitochondria and replace them with new healthy ones in the neurons of your brain and the photoreceptor cells of your retina. This mitochondrial renewal process is critical for maintaining both cognitive sharpness and visual acuity. A study published in the journal Nutrients found that pomegranate extract significantly reduced memory deficits in aged animal models and improved spatial learning. For the eyes, pomegranate's ellagic acid has been shown to protect retinal pigment epithelial cells, the support cells that keep your photoreceptors alive from oxidative damage. Together, blueberry and pomegranate create a compound effect in your brain and eyes that neither juice achieves as powerfully alone. How to take it? Mix 150 milliliters of 100% unsweetened wild blueberry juice with 100 milliliters of 100% pure pomegranate juice. Drink this mixture 45 minutes before bed. The key words are wild blueberry, not cultivated, and 100% pure pomegranate, not pomegranate cocktail, which is mostly apple or grape juice. Wild blueberries contain 2 to 3 times the anthocyanin concentration of cultivated blueberries. Read the label carefully. If you can find frozen wild blueberries at your grocery store, you can blend them with water and strain them yourself for an even fresher option. Juice 5, spinach and kale juice. The macular shield. This is the one that the ophthalmology research community is most excited about right now, and for good reason. Age-related macular degeneration, AMD, is the leading cause of vision loss in adults over 60. It affects the macula, the central part of your retina, and it destroys your ability to read, drive, and recognize faces. Current medical treatment is limited and largely reactive. But there is a nutritional prevention story that is extraordinarily compelling. The macula contains two carotenoids in concentrations found almost nowhere else in the human body. Lutein and zeaxanthin. These two compounds form the macular pigment, a natural filter that protects your central retinal cells from the blue light and ultraviolet radiation that damage them over time. They also function as direct antioxidants inside the retina, neutralizing the free radicals produced by light exposure before they can damage your photoreceptor cells. Here's the critical point. Your body cannot make lutein or zeaxanthin. You must consume them. And as you age, your ability to absorb them from food decreases significantly. The result is that most seniors over 65 have measurably lower macular pigment density than they did at 40, which directly correlates with increased risk of AMD and decreased visual contrast sensitivity. Spinach and kale are the two highest dietary sources of lutein and zeaxanthin on the planet. A single cup of raw spinach contains roughly 12 milligrams of lutein and zeaxanthin combined. Kale delivers even more per gram of weight. Clinical research has consistently shown that lutein supplementation or high dietary lutein intake increases macular pigment optical density, a direct measurement of protection in the macula, and slows the progression of early AMD. But here's where this juice goes beyond vision. Lutein and zeaxanthin have recently been identified as neuroprotective compounds in the brain as well. A study published in the journal Nutrients found a significant positive correlation between serum lutein levels and cognitive function in older adults, particularly in the domains of memory and processing speed. The brain, like the eye, accumulates lutein preferentially, especially in the regions responsible for memory and executive function. Researchers believe lutein may protect neurons through the same antioxidant mechanism it uses in the retina. Adding a small amount of black pepper to this juice, I'll explain below, increases absorption of these carotenoids by up to 20%. A well-documented effect of piperine, the active compound in pepper. How to take it. Blend 2 large handfuls of raw organic spinach with 1 large kale leaf, 200 milliliters of water, half a cucumber for palatability, and a very small pinch of black pepper. Add 1/4 teaspoon of olive oil or a few drops of flaxseed oil. Again, fat is essential for carotenoid absorption. Lutein and zeaxanthin are fat-soluble compounds. Without fat in the same meal or drink, you absorb almost none of them. Drink 300 milliliters with dinner. If the taste is difficult at first, add half a green apple to the blend. Reduce the apple over 2 weeks as your palate adjusts. The evening protocol that makes all 5 work together. Drinking these juices randomly throughout the day will give you some benefit, but structuring them intentionally around your evening and sleep maximizes what your body can do with them during the overnight repair window. Here's the sequence that makes the most scientific sense based on how these compounds are absorbed and how your body's repair cycles unfold. With dinner, approximately 2 to 3 hours before bed, drink your beet juice and your spinach kale juice. The nitric oxide from the beet juice will begin opening blood flow pathways, and the fat in your dinner helps absorb the lutein and zeaxanthin from the spinach and kale. Approximately 90 minutes before bed, drink your carrot ginger juice with a small amount of fat as described. 30 to 45 minutes before bed, drink your blueberry pomegranate mixture. This timing puts the anthocyanins in your bloodstream right as you enter your first cycles of deep sleep when glymphatic cleaning is most active. Take your tart cherry juice last about 30 minutes before bed. The melatonin content will help deepen your sleep, and the anthocyanins will be circulating throughout the entire overnight repair window. You do not need to do all 5 every single night from day 1. Start with tart cherry juice and blueberry pomegranate in week 1. Add beet juice in week 2. Add spinach kale in week 3. Add carrot ginger in week 4. This graduated approach gives your digestive system time to adjust and helps you identify which juices agree with you individually. Your eyes and your brain are not simply getting old. They are responding to decades of inflammatory signals, insufficient antioxidant defense, and inadequate blood flow. Those are not irreversible conditions. They are biological states that respond to the right inputs. The 5 juices we covered today, tart cherry, beet carrot, ginger, blueberry, pomegranate, and spinach kale, each address a different piece of the same puzzle. Taken consistently in the evening, time to work with your body's overnight repair window, they give your neural tissue exactly what it needs to begin rebuilding. You don't need a prescription. You don't need an expensive procedure. You need to consistently give your body the raw materials it was designed to work with. Start tonight with 1 glass of tart cherry juice before bed. That's it. Just start there. Notice how you sleep. Notice how you feel in the morning. And then over the next month, build the full protocol, 1 juice at a time. Your brain and your eyes have been waiting for this support for a long time. Give it to them and give them the time they need to show you what they can do. If this video helped you, please share it with someone you love who's been struggling with their vision or their memory. And subscribe so you don't miss the follow-up video I'm releasing next week on the 5 foods that accelerate brain inflammation in seniors. Because knowing what to remove is just as important as knowing what to add. The links are right there on your screen.